Hello everybody, welcome to another video. I'm Bastelarian, and today we have a massive manga haul that after filming all of this, attempting to film all of this once, my phone ran out of space, and so I've decided to film it in two parts, so enjoy that. So we're going to start with the first half, and that is going to start now, and we are going to start with something that's not manga, surprisingly. I do in fact collect Western comic books, which is something that some of you might not know, because I collect very few, and they come out very sparsely throughout the year. So sometimes I'll buy one, and I'll be like, there's no point in putting this in the haul, but this month, Barnes & Noble did a buy two get one free sale, so I went fucking nuts, and I bought a whole bunch of shit. So I'm going to show you all that first. And first up, I got The Wicked and the Divine, Volume 7. I don't know if this is the last volume, but it feels incredibly finite. But I also don't want it to be over the way that it ended. So, I really hope this isn't the last volume. I really hope this continues on in some capacity, please God. Next up, we have Saga, Volume 9, which ripped my fucking heart out with its bare fucking hands. Holy God! If you read Saga, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Let's all be sad and depressed together. Next up, I got this particular Volume 1, over a year ago, and Volume 2 took forever to come out, but I took forever to buy it after it came out, and that is Motor Crush, Volume 2. Lesbians and motorbikes, what can I say? It's definitely my flavor of shit. Next we have Rat Queens, Volume 5, which actually explains the soft reboot that happened in Volume 4, which is very nice. I like it. I was particularly just a little bitter about the soft reboot, because I was really invested in the story that was going on in Volume 3. Next up we have Isola, Volume 1. I was particularly taken in by the artwork, and it just seems really, really cool. I'm really interested in stories about girls in sort of fantasy or sort of mythical sort of settings going on adventures. I just love that. Next up, I finally decided to start reading Monstrous. So I got Volume 1 just to start, just to see if I'll like it. But I have a deep, deep feeling that I am going to love it. Next up, something completely fucking different. I got Swing, Volume 1. I got this because apparently Sunstone, one of my favorite fucking comics of all time, has like a weird comic multiverse where it's this, and I know that Bloodstain, a comic book that I do not collect, is also a part of it, but this is kind of in the same vein as Sunstone, being sort of about alternative, sort of fetishy sexual stuff, which I'm very interested in, and yeah, I'm really interested to see where this is gonna go. I think it's about like threesomes or swinging in that sort of way, I guess. And finally, I got Rose, Volumes 1 and 2, again because I just like stories about high fantasy and girls going on adventures, so this is definitely my kind of stuff. Alright, and now we're going to go into light novels, which I bought a lot of light novels this month too, which is fucking weird, but yeah. So first up I have Kamikaze Girls, which is a single volume. It came out a while back. I think it came out in like 2006 or something. It's a story about a girl who lives like in the bumfuck nowhere boonies, and she's a gothic Lolita. If you don't know what that is, it's kind of like an alternative like fashion choice. And she meets this girl who's kind of like a Yankee motorcycle chick. So I'm interested to see how that's going to play out. It's a really cool, high-quality volume, too. It's hardcover. It's really nice. I thought it was brand new. I thought it was a new volume because of how good of a condition I found it in. Next we just have Toradora, Volume 3, Love and Toradora, and I'm so glad we're finally getting the light novel version. Next I have Otori Monogatari and Oni Monogatari, which catches me up with the Monogatari releases. Next, the title of this is very weird, but I promise it's a very serious light novel, and that is I Want to Eat Your Pancreas, a story about a guy who meets a girl who's dying from cancer. So, yeah, I Want to Eat Your Pancreas is kind of like a saying that happens in the light novel. It's not weird, I promise. It's not about people eating people's internal organs. And finally, I have this light novel where I posted about this light novel on Tumblr. I was all like, oh man, this light novel, it's #goals. And it became this larger discussion about the isekai genre and how most light novels these days feel like their titles were put together through some sort of algorithm. And that would be the hero and his elf bride open a pizza parlor in another world. And as you can see, there's a little piece of paper in here, which means I'm reading it. I'm planning on doing a review, because why not review the most mediocre of trash, considering I have no brain and I can't review highbrow things. Next, let's get into older kind of used stuff that I found at Second & Charles. And first thing is going to be Monokuro Kinderbook, which is a publication by Ponetmon. It's largely short stories from different perspectives of different women. The art style is incredibly sketchy. It's very rough, but in a very unique, sort of attractive way. I really, really liked it. I kind of picked it up because it looked unique, and it's a bunch of really neat short stories, and the book is really cool. Like, it's all black around the edges, and the paper is fine-ass quality. Next, we have the big boy. That's gonna be Sanctuary, volumes 1 through 9, which is complete. And I can hear bizarre individuals screaming from here. So I'm going to give you a backstory about how I found this manga, and while I show you the title covers. So I found this at a Second & Charles. I found 2 through 9. I bought volume 1 online after the fact, but I found 2 through 9 at Second & Charles, and they aren't in the best condition. They're sort of beat up. Volume 4 especially has pages that are just completely out of it. But, I mean, it's still in there, but they're loose. And they hadn't actually been worked to the shelves yet. I found them off to the side, and I felt incredibly bad for swooping in like a motherfucker before these were even displayed and buying them. So I thought, okay, so I'm gonna leave these here. I left them there. I did not buy these immediately. So I left them, and I was like, if they are there, the next time I come into Second & Charles, I will buy them then, but only then. So I left these alone for nearly 2 weeks. I left them there to sit for over almost 2 weeks, and I came back, and they were all still there. So I then bought all of them. So yeah, it's a very old, interesting looking Yakuza story, so I'm really interested to see where that is going to go. Next up, we have a brand new publisher on the scene, my boys, which is something that does not happen a lot these days. We have the old guard, we have the like Fizz and Tokyo Pop and Dark Horse, and we just have the solid, like, ones that have just been around for years. We haven't seen a lot of new faces on the manga scene, is what I've been saying, but now we have Denpa, and I'm very interested in their line of stuff that they're planning on publishing. it's a lot of stuff that isn't very mainstream. It's not something where it's all like, oh, they published, they licensed this just for a cash grab. It feels very new and interesting, and I'm very interested to see what they have for us in the future. And I have 2 brand new shits from them today with me. One of them is Inside Mari, which is by Shizo Oshimi, which is the same guy who did Flowers of Evil and Happiness. So if you liked those, definitely look into this. It's equally as good, I feel. It's about a guy who wakes up in a girl's body and he has no idea why, and he has to figure out what the fuck is going on. It's really interesting. Also, I think it's manga 2 blah to point out that there are in fact French flaps on this motherfucker. And we also have a full color manga, which is very itty bitty. It is very short, and that is Pez. Fun fact about this is that this was published previously, that's not a word, in Robot Super Color Comic, but judging by the fact that we only got 5 volumes of Robot Super Color Comic, we didn't get the complete full publication of Pez, so now we have this, and it's nice and little and compact. It's not huge like the Robot Super Color Comic manga are. It's by the same guy who did Tagami Bachi, if you are interested in that, and that's just really fucking cool. It's tiny. It's like a little magazine. Next, I have a Japanese manga, which I did not buy. So my mother-in-law was so enchanted with this manga that she pre-ordered this. And that is Oji-sama to Neko Volume 2, about this, very attractive, by the way. This is definitely aimed at people who find old men kind of, like, interesting and attractive in a way. This is about like an old man who has lost his wife. She's passed, and he's sort of filling the void with this ugly fucking cat, and they love each other unconditionally, and it's so wonderful. Even though I can't understand Japanese, the feelings of this manga come through, especially as a cat owner, not so much as a person whose loved one has passed away, but it's really cool and interesting, and I wish very hard that this got an English publication, but I'm not going to hold my breath. I'm going to continue to support this series by way of just buying the Japanese volumes. Next up we have Delinquent Housewife, Volume 2. I'm loving this. It's very, very nice. It feels like the middle ground of a josei and a seinen, which is really, really cool. Next we have Futari Bea, which last month, Volume 1 officially came out. It got delayed the fuck, to fuck. And Volume 2 immediately came out after. So, yeah, I flipped through this. Still feels like a very fluffy sort of girls doing cute things, barely on the brink of being a shoujo-ai. Again, most of the shippy sort of shoujo-ai stuff happens in the in-between art. But, yeah, just very cute stuff. Very nice. Next, I got the final volume of Dragon's Crown. It's, I would say that it's just kind of a mediocre sort of fantasy story. You get it because you like Dragon's Crown. You don't get it because the story is at all, like, gripping or engaging. You get it for the jiggly, the titties. Get it for them titties. The jiggle joggles, tits. Next we have Viz Stuff, and we have Zombie Powder, volumes 1 through 4, which is complete. I figured I'd pick this up since we are planning on getting Bleach, and I know since my husband does not watch my videos that he will never see this, so this is a secret between you and me, and it's that I'm planning on getting him the first box set of Bleach for his birthday. So let's just keep that as a secret between us, between me and you. Next up we have Black Torch, Volume 1. I'm interested in this because this got cancelled. It's only 5 volumes long, and I'm interested to see how I'm waiting for the downfall. I'm waiting for the downward slope that was this manga's undoing. So I'm sticking around for that, for the tragic. Also, it's a good story. It's got ninjas, you know. The good shit. Next, we have, I'm trying to blow through these really quick because I have nothing else to say about them other than what I've said. So I got, Children of the Whales, Volume 7, love it very, very much. Mobile Suit Gundam, The Origin, Volume 9. Fuck! It's not The Origin, I'm a moron. This is Thunderbolt. Fuck me. I'm tired. I can't read words. Have Anonymous Noise, Volume 11. Love that band shoujo. I guess it's the one way to get me intensely invested in your shoujo, is like, there's a band. I'm like, ooh, a band. Next we have Full Metal Alchemist, the Full Metal Edition, Volume 3. These are very, very nice books. Yeah. No shame if you want to get the regular single volumes or the omnibus, but these are probably the highest quality you can get, but also expensive. So, yeah, no shame if you don't want to get the Full Metal editions, that's fine. But I'm getting them because I'm a fucking asshole. Next, we have JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, Volume 9. Final volume of Part 3 is coming out next year, I think in February, and I cannot wait because as much as I like Part 3, and I know Part 3 is a very iconic part, and it's probably the most popular part in JoJo, I like Part 4. And so I am waiting with bated breath for my beautiful son Josuke to come home from the war. Next up, I know I don't own Dragon Ball or Dragon Ball Z or Dragon Ball Super, but I had to get this because the concept is just so fucking cool and wild, and that is Dragon Ball Z. That time I got reincarnated as Yamcha. My only grief with this series is that it's not long enough. It could have, there's points of this manga that are finally fleshed out. They're acceptable, but then there are parts that just zoom on through a bunch of shit, and it's like, this could have benefited from being like 2 or 3 volumes, but I understand that they could only do so much. And this is just a really neat concept of a guy proving Yamcha's worth for him. It's really nice, and I really like it. It's a cool concept. Am I going to get any more Dragon Ball? Probably not, but it's very low on the list of things that are, like, essential, but we'll see. But this is good. This is some good shit. Next up we have Shortcake Cake, Volume 2, which, good news, I still really like, which is good because I feel like an asshole whenever I buy a new shoujo, and then I buy a couple of volumes, and I'm like, ugh, get this girly shit away from me, because I want to like shoujo. I want to expand my manga horizons and enjoy different genres that I don't normally read, but I keep on buying shoujo and then being like, this bores me, take it away, Jeeves. Next we have Ruby, the official anthology, Volume 3. This one features Blake. I'm honestly surprised that this one is a little thinner than the other two, considering Blake is a cat girl, and that shit's popular, and I thought that would garner a lot more attention, but not a lot, not as much as the other two. But yeah, the next one is the final one featuring Yang, and I'm very excited about that. And finally, for Viz, we have Ran and the Grey World, which I love the art in here. The art is fantastic. I love this book very, very much. The only problem I had with this, and it's a nitpick, and it's not a deal breaker at all before I even begin, Ran is an elementary school kid, and she uses these magic shoes to turn into an older girl, and she meets this very eccentric, like, rich dude who lives in, like, a penthouse, and this dude thinks that she's just an attractive older girl, so he creeps the fuck on her, and he gets very touchy-feely with her, and it's very uncomfortable as the reader knowing that Ran is a child, and he is attempting to be romantically involved with her, and it's weird, but it also frames it in a way that isn't very fetishy, and it doesn't make you feel too uncomfortable, and yeah, like I said, it's not a deal breaker. Anyway, that's the end of Volume 1. Part 1, we're going to continue in Part 2 right after this.